Welcome to Omni View, episode 113 for July 15th, 2026. Multiple perspectives, one briefing. Today's stories, multiple viewpoints, your call. Proposals to raise the UK state pension age sooner would force millions to work longer before claiming benefits, tightening public finances amid demographic pressures. President Trump stated the U.S. would target bridges and power plants if Iran does not return to negotiations. The comments came as the two countries continued exchanging fire for a fourth day, and the U.S. reinstated a blockade of Iranian ports. U.S. officials framed the threat as necessary leverage to restore diplomatic engagement after recent hostilities. Iranian authorities view the statements as escalation that undermines any path to de-escalation. European governments have urged restraint, noting that renewed blockades risk broader supply disruptions without clear off-ramps. The question worth considering is what specific infrastructure targets would most affect civilian life in Iran. Shifting now to domestic policy in Britain. The Treasury informed the Office for Budget Responsibility that the state pension age will move to 68 between 2037 and 2039. This change would affect people currently in their late 40s and early 50s. Treasury officials argue earlier implementation protects long-term fiscal sustainability given rising life expectancy. Opposition voices contend the shift burdens workers who planned around the previous timetable. The mechanism that splits these views turns on how much notice is required before demographic adjustments take effect. The question worth considering is how earlier pension age changes interact with existing private savings rates. Meanwhile, an international body has weighed in on the same system. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development recommended ending the triple lock mechanism that raises state pensions by the highest of wages, inflation, or 2.5%. The group cited added fiscal risks to UK public finances. OECD analysts highlight that automatic uprating above inflation increases spending pressure during periods of slow growth. Government supporters maintain the pledge protects retirees against sudden cost of living spikes. One side's strongest argument rests on the protection retirees receive in volatile years, while the other side's case rests on the cumulative budget strain over a decade. The question worth considering is what alternative indexation methods have other OECD members adopted? Turning to security concerns in Europe, Lithuania's president stated Russia may be preparing limited strikes on critical infrastructure in Baltic states or Poland. The warning was issued amid ongoing European security discussions. Lithuanian officials treat the assessment as a prudent alert based on observed patterns elsewhere. Russian representatives dismiss such claims as unfounded alarm. NATO partners have increased monitoring without confirming specific plans. The question worth considering is what types of infrastructure have been targeted in prior incidents. In a related development involving Iran, relatives of Craig Foreman reported that his sentence in Iran was lengthened by 2 years. The extension followed his communications with media outlets from prison. Family members described the added time as punishment for exercising basic expression rights. Iranian judicial authorities maintain that unauthorized external contact violates prison regulations. The divide here rests on whether the rule serves security or restricts information flow. The question worth considering is what consular assistance options remain available to dual nationals in similar situations. A Kenyan court dismissed a legal challenge from Rastafarians seeking to overturn cannabis prohibitions. The ruling noted that wider national policy debate remains necessary. Rastafarian petitioners argue existing bans conflict with religious practice and cultural traditions. Kenyan authorities maintain current controls protect public health and align with international obligations. Both accept the court left room for legislative review. They differ on whether judicial or parliamentary routes should lead any change. The question worth considering is what religious exemptions for cannabis exist in other jurisdictions. In business news, a major fintech deal has surfaced. PayPal shares jumped 15% in pre-market trading after reports that Stripe and Advent International offered $60.50 per share. The bid would value the company above $53 billion. Investors see the offer as validation of PayPal's market position despite recent competition. Company management has not yet responded publicly to the reported approach. Both the suitors and target operate in a payments sector facing consolidation pressure. The question worth considering is what regulatory reviews typically apply to large fintech mergers. Thames Water posted a post-tax profit for the year to March, while its net debt rose further. The company had raised customer bills during the period. Company representatives cite the profit as evidence of operational stability after recent challenges. Consumer groups question whether bill rises adequately address service reliability concerns. Both accept debt levels remain elevated. They differ on whether profits should be reinvested or distributed. The question worth considering is what oversight mechanisms govern water company debt and dividend policies. Some U.S. startups are adopting cheaper Chinese AI systems to reduce expenses as demand for advanced models grows. The shift reflects rising costs of leading American platforms. Startup founders describe the move as a pragmatic response to budget constraints while maintaining functionality. U.S. model providers argue their offerings deliver superior performance and data safeguards. Both acknowledge price differences exist. They differ on whether cost savings justify potential trade-offs in capability or security standards. The question worth considering is what performance benchmarks separate leading U.S. and Chinese models in practice. Staff at OpenAI contributed more than $215,000 to a political action committee opposing a group backed by company president Greg Brockman. The effort focuses on AI governance issues. Donors within the company frame their contributions as support for stronger internal safeguards. Company leadership maintains that existing governance structures already address safety priorities. Both accept internal debate exists on regulatory approaches. They differ on the appropriate level of external political involvement. The question worth considering is what disclosure rules apply to employee political donations in the tech sector. Rita Ora attended the premiere of a Disney Channel film in Los Angeles with her husband Taika Waititi. She wore a sheer fishtail gown, and the couple displayed affection on the red carpet. Entertainment outlets treat the appearance as standard celebrity event coverage. Fans online noted the couple's coordinated public presence. Both the event organizers and attendees view such premieres as promotional opportunities. They differ on how much personal detail merits wider attention. The question worth considering is what contractual obligations typically accompany red carpet appearances for film premieres. Now, to really understand the pension stories, there is something most coverage leaves out. Governments first receive updated life expectancy and workforce participation data from national statistics offices, then feed those figures into long-term budget forecasts produced by independent watchdogs such as the Office for Budget Responsibility. Once a new age threshold is set, legislation typically introduces equalization periods so people within a few years of retirement face smaller step-ups while younger cohorts absorb larger ones. Knowing this sequence shows why announcements about 2037 to 2039 implementation matter immediately to people in their late 40s. Next time you see a headline about pension reform, ask which birth cohorts are explicitly covered by the change. What independent body verified the demographic assumptions, and how much notice the affected workers received before the rules were locked in? Tomorrow, watch for further reactions from European governments on the U.S. port blockade of Iran. That wraps up today's Omni View. Remember, the best informed people read more than one perspective. If this show helps you do that, share it with someone who values fair coverage. See you tomorrow. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at Nara Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the Nara Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets, each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. SpaceX Daily, the daily companion for following SpaceX as a public company, from Starship to the stock ticker. Find every show free at naranetwork.com. The Do Positive Pod is the club for people who do something about it. Episodes and the dispatch wall at naranetwork.com/the DPPOD. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.